Going on? Welcome back to the Fish Life podcast, and we have a good one for you tonight. Something really, really, really extremely special has taken place in the world of bass fishing this week in Texas. Um, Ben Milliken and his buddy the Zark. I don't even, nobody knows his real name. Don't know his real name, but he's the Zark. His name's I think Joe something.
I always just look for the high life beanie.
Just Zark. It's the Zark. Man, they had a really special day. He caught a 16-pounder, turned it into ShareLunker. There's much more to that story than that, and we're going to go into it. We'll just say that it's probably going to be the best bass fishing day that's ever been recorded on camera.
Correct.
Ever. And we're going to talk about it because it's not the only teenager they caught. It wasn't just the 16.
Yeah.
And there was some other stuff behind it that was really special. Really, really, really special.
Yep.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight later on. But first, before we get to that, in the World Tournament Bass Fishing, the Red Crest was supposed to be going on tomorrow on Lake Palestine.
Yeah. Supposed to.
Tomorrow on Lake Palestine. And it's not happening there now. They moved it to Lake Eufaula. And that's a big deal. Obviously, this is like the Bass Pro Tour's
It's their
classic.
Master Classic.
Yeah, it's their championship tournament. And obviously a big event. One of the biggest events in the world of bass fishing, period.
Correct.
No argument there. And it got moved last minute because of just the craziness that's gone on.
Snowvid.
Snowvid 2021.
Yeah.
It's just been insane what we've been dealing with in Texas, and everybody from around here knows that. And if you're not from around here, I'm sure you've seen it on the news as well. But it's pretty. You live.
You can spit in Lake Palestine.
Yeah, you look out your back
deck.
window and you see Lake Palestine.
Yeah.
You still don't have water at your house.
Still ain't got water.
Like, there's all kinds of problems going on with power and water, and our system, our stuff is. I've never seen 0 degrees in Texas.
There's still a lot of stores.
Not in East Texas.
A lot of stores, a lot of places on
Dude,
the other side of
Whataburger
155.
is not even open because people have been buying so much Whataburger that they've run them out of food and they can't get more.
A lot of places without power still. A lot
When
of places without
Whataburger
water.
is shut down, Texas is in full crisis.
Yeah.
Because Whataburger is now shut down in Tyler.
You can pretty much tell how Texas is doing based off Whataburger.
That's pretty.
Yeah, pretty accurate.
That's pretty. It's a pretty valid statement.
Yeah,
So
so
craziness has been going on. Lake Palestine is not going to be where the Red Crest is, and so tonight we're bringing in the big guns. We're actually going to call and talk to Kelly Jordan and get his point of view on it. Obviously, Bass Pro Tour angler. He also lives on Lake Palestine. It's right in his backyard. So we're going to call Kelly and we're going to discuss the Red Crest. Go ahead and get the phone up and get Kelly on the phone for us, Chris.
let's do it.
We might also have to. We might also have to get Kelly on the phone and talk to him about this crazy day of fishing that Ben Milliken and the Zark had.
You want to go ahead and dial them?
Hand it, send it. Let's go. You know how we are around here. Full send. All the time. Full send.
Should be able to hear that.
Yeah, you guys, as Kelly gets on here, y'all let us know.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Kelly, how are you, sir?
Hanging in there, man. How you doing?
Man, I am living the dream. Trying to thaw out.
Me too.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a mess, Kelly. It's good to have you on again, man. We appreciate you always joining us when we ask, and we always appreciate your take on things and you taking the time to talk to us. So thank you, sir.
Well, hey, pleasure to be here. Thanks for giving me a call, man. Always great talking fishing. Shoot.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. So obviously there's been a little bit of stuff going on around East Texas, and we were supposed to be starting the Red Crest event in your backyard tomorrow, and now we're not. We're going to Lake Eufaula, Alabama.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I know I had a lot of friends in the area call me and text me and stuff, and everybody's just so disappointed. I am too.
Yeah.
But man, what a tough. I mean, we didn't make the call. Mother Nature did. It's just we're all just like still shaking our heads, scratching our heads over what happened the last week, and it just is what it is. And I feel like we lost a great opportunity here, but I'm hoping we have another opportunity soon just to showcase just more of the fantastic fishing that that we're fortunate to live in the area to have that fishing close.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and it's a really cool year, and I think we mentioned this last time we talked, but really cool year with all the events that we're going to have in East Texas and Texas in general with you guys. With y'all are going to Lake Travis, and on the other side we got BAS hitting Fork and Ray Roberts, and Just a really, really neat year. A lot of tournament exposure. You guys are going to Rayburn in March. A lot of good tournament exposure for East Texas and Texas in general, and it's a shame that we couldn't have the big championship event on Palestine, because Palestine's a lake that I don't think has ever been featured on that kind of a stage. I don't think there's never been an event near that big. I mean, there's been some opens I think there, but that's about the biggest event that Palestine's ever held, and it's a really good special lake. Like, it's got a lot of big fish in it. It's a fun lake. It's a very diverse lake. You can fish all different kinds of ways, so it is a shame that we're losing out on that opportunity to see what you guys, the best in the world, can do on that thing.
Yeah, everything you said is just straight up. I mean, it is a very diverse lake. It's got a lot of great fish in it. It's a sleeper. Everybody around here knows how good it is, but it's it doesn't have any boat lane, and it's got a lot of timber, and people are it's just not really fun to run around on because you're kind of worried about hitting stuff all the time.
Oh yeah.
So all of that kind of keeps it, I think, the pressure less. Plus, it's just right here in the heart of the Fertile Crescent of East Texas, where we grow bass. So we got them, man. And the lake, interesting to me, Powell fluctuates not near as much as like Sam Rayburn, but it's like Sam Rayburn because it does fluctuate pretty regularly. And I think that's one of the keys to keeping it so fertile. And I think, I just think it would have just blown the fishing world wide open because nobody has ever heard of Lake Palestine, and then they'd be like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah,
smack them down there, and everybody that came down and pre-practiced, Kevin Van Dam came down the week that we had our first snow, about a month ago.
Yeah,
and it was 43 degrees, water temperature, snowed like 8 or 9 inches, and it was above freezing the whole time, like 35 or whatever. So the snow was melting as soon as it hit the ground, but we still had an accumulation of between 5 and 7 inches of that big, heavy, wet snow. And those guys caught them, and everyone I talked to, they were like, "Holy jeez, man!" Just what they saw,
yeah.
and that brief window looking around. It creates a great championship. It's like the perfect championship lake because it has no history, like you said. You have tournament results. If you start looking at them, you're like, my gosh. And then, of course, a week ago there was a 13.07 caught out here in a tournament.
Yep.
Took almost 29 pounds of wind. That was an individual tournament. It just, like I said, and I think everybody I talked to as well said, man, they thought it'd be just a fantastic championship event because nobody knows anything. So it was just going to be wide open. And again, that's what I'm bummed. A lot of guys are bummed. A lot of pros are bummed about not coming here. And then, of course, the local area, all the diehard fishermen that I've talked to are like, man, that's going to be so awesome. And, hey, it is what it is. I think just that it got on the schedule finally is going to open a lot of eyes, and I think that hopefully we see some more stuff coming here because it is like the perfect lake, especially for our Major League Fishing format, even for a regular event, because we don't ever have more than 40 boats on the water at one time ever. So and it's not a small lake, but it's just getting around and stuff. I certainly hope we see some events here in the future, just because. Man, what a showcase of East Texas fishing that nobody's ever heard of. I mean, my gosh.
Yeah, it'd be, for me, it would be very similar to when y'all went to the Sharon Harris Lakes in North Carolina, because I personally didn't know about them, and I'm sure everybody around there knows that they're great lakes. But when you guys went there and started whacking big ones, I was like, new lake to the list that we need to go see.
Yes, exactly. And that I mean, it was funny the first day that we fished there. I actually set I set the 1 day record for a while until we got to Table Rock Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Wheeler knocked out of the park up there, but I had like 82 pounds or 83 pounds in 1 day, and I lost a whole bunch of big ones too. And and Todd Faircloth was real close to the weight that I had. Of course, he's a Texas boy, and we talked after the day because we can't really talk about information. But afterwards, he said, Todd Faircloth is a man of few words, but he said, Texas boys showed up. It was just like fishing at home, wasn't it? And I said, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Big fish, good fishing, heavy cover, and yeah, that's what that was. And we were fixing to see that here at Lake Palestine, and
for sure,
it's just like I said, it's just like that, damn it.
Yeah, no doubt.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. We can't, like you said, Mother Nature made the call. We can't do anything about that. You guys couldn't do anything about that. You did the best thing you could. And by the way, the lake you're going to is not a bad one. We're going to Lake Eufaula, Alabama now. If you could, Kelly, tell us a little bit about that pond, because I really, honestly, I've seen some tournaments on there over the years. I know kind of it's a good quality lake. There's been some good events held there, but I don't know a whole lot about the fishery myself. So can you help us out on that?
It's actually a lot like Lake Palestine. It's a very dynamic lake. It has the upper end, which is totally different than the bottom end. The bottom end has a bunch of boat docks and deeper water and clear water, just like Lake Palestine does. Has a lot of really good fish. It's in the deep south. It's on about maybe the same line as maybe like Sam Rayburn, Toledo Bend. So it warms up before a lot of other places. The upper end is a lot of backwater sloughs, timber. And they do have grass up there. There's a lot of grass, shoreline grass, a little bit of hydrilla, milfoil as well, lily pad fields, and what have you. It's fantastic springtime fishing up there. Yeah. When we had an event there last year in the Bass Pro Tour, and that's when Jordan Lee went way up the river and caught like 29. He only caught 5 all day, but he had 29, maybe he had 35 pounds. I can't remember. It was just ridiculous. He caught him on a reddish orange chatterbait, if you remember that.
Yep.
And that event was going to line up, and we were going to kill them. But it's on a very big watershed, the Chattahoochee River, and it fluctuates a whole lot more than Lake Palestine even. And we had a big, huge rains the night before and the first day of the event. The water came up 3 or 4 feet. And it turned into chocolate mud in a lot of areas, and it just blew that place out. It was still a good event, a lot of good fish caught, but what could have been,
right?
It was just when you hit that place top dead center. That place, I think it holds the all-time record for back when they had a 10-fish limit. If that makes sense, you used to could catch 10 bass a day in Alabama, and this was maybe in the 80s or 70s. I think it has the heaviest one-day record on that, and I think I don't know who it was, but somebody had. I think they had 10 bass that weighed like 83 pounds. So do the math real quick.
That's pretty good.
And think about that. So it's not like that anymore, but it's not far from it. I mean, it's got them. And then this week, I've looked at the weather. I don't see any rain forecasted, and it looks like it's going to be really warm. The fish are going to be real close to going on the beds if they're not already. I don't think they are, but anyway, I think they'll be on the verge, about to, bust loose. And, I mean, they ought to just absolutely kill them. Fishing shallow. Even on the bottom end where, Jacob Wheeler won that event last year fishing some little bit offshore stuff, but I think they're going to get clobbered by the shallower stuff this time. It's going to be a full-blown, my favorite kind of bubba fishing. Get a big rod, big line, and a jig, a big swim bait, a chatterbait, a spinnerbait, flipping, big Cinco. Just let her rip, and there's going to be some big bites, and it's going to be a buzz bait's going to play probably, and maybe even a frog. And there might even be some sight fishing, but I saw that weather and I was like, my gosh, they're going to hit that. What it was looking like we were going to have here, but
right.
It ought to be a great event.
Yeah, and they'll get that perfect pre-spawn bite, like the last flurry right before they want to spawn. Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be awesome. To me, that's probably the best bite of the year. It's probably my favorite pattern bite, whatever you want to call it, is when those fish, all of the fish in the lake are truly pre-spawn, and they're finally getting in bigger groups. They've been in smaller groups coming out of winter, and they get bigger groups, and they're all there for one reason. That's to eat everything they can before they get on the bed. Man, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, and you're right. That happens on a warm-up trend, and they're having that there right now. And that's what's going to happen here in Lake Palestine this week and into, maybe next week, too. Lake Palestine's going to, light right up. But, yeah, you're right. When they haven't got on the beds yet, but you got that warming trend, and they're getting their last, putting the feed bag on right before they go on the beds. Whew. I mean, I agree with you. That is when it is the that's better than the first week of the spawn, in my opinion.
It's as good as it gets. Yeah.
Jeez, ridiculous.
So speaking of weather, and I know you talk about the weather that y'all gonna have during the event. Now, over this last week, we moved the event from Palestine because of the. I mean, it was crazy. It was 0 degrees on Lake Palestine Monday morning. I mean, it's just parts of the lake were still frozen over. Parts of the lake probably still have ice on them today, even after a 60-degree day, because we got so much ice accumulation last week.
Right.
It's just insane what's going on, but. What was the weather in Eufaula, Alabama over this last week? I know obviously it was cold. Did they get a lot of the snow and stuff? Do you know?
It all missed them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So perfect.
Yeah, and east of us, Louisiana, Mississippi, whatever, they didn't really get it till the last couple of days that we had it. It slid east, but still, it had that same line as the front, from southwest to northeast.
Right.
And that line stopped at about maybe Gunnersville, Alabama.
Okay.
They still had some cool weather there. Like I was talking to some people in Gunnersville because they had a Toyota series there last week. They said it snowed like 5 or 6 inches in Huntsville, Alabama, which is about 30 miles from Lake Gunnersville. But at Gunnersville, they did not have any snow, and that's kind of where the line stopped. And Eufaula is quite a bit south of there, so yeah, they never caught it. And I mean, it was cool. It wasn't warm or hot or anything like Florida, but they didn't have near the stuff that we had. And then looking at the forecast this week, it looks like it's going to all be, sunny, highs in the 60s to 70s, low temperatures, which, is the key to keeping that water warming up. Lows were, looks like in the low to mid 50s to maybe even 60s at night. So, it's coming there.
It's go time. It's go time. Yeah, that's
when you see that coming. If you can take off of work or whatever, and you see those windows. If you can pick those and just take off, a day or 2 or 3, my gosh, you can have, like you said, it's just this magic time of year. But it is so dictated by the weather that
you're right.
You just have your little windows.
You're right.
It's crazy.
You're right. When you draw the right window, it's unbelievable. And like you said, if you can take off work, if you see 3 warm nights in a row, you're gonna want to take that 3rd day off work if you can. Hey, speaking of, and by the way, for those that are just joining us, we're talking live with Kelly Jordan tonight. We've been talking about Red Crest. I don't know, Kelly, you may not even have heard about this yet because it's all happened. I'm sure you heard about the 16-pounder out of OH Ivie, right?
16.4, new lake record.
New lake record, yep. Guy known as the Zark, who's a buddy of Ben Milliken, caught it with Ben Milliken. So it's all on camera. It's filmed. We're going to see it on YouTube on Milliken Fishing. Do you know the rest of the story about how their day went?
No, I don't, but I saw that. I just said, man, that is ridiculous. New lake record. Joe McKay is the angler, from what I read, and I shared on social media the ShareLunker page, and I was like, my gosh, what an awesome fish of a lifetime, man. That's just incredible.
Well, it gets better than that. I got some more news for you. So Ben Milliken is on the 6 Sense fishing team with me, and so, I keep in touch and kind of keep track of what he's doing through mutual friends and all that, and he's got a very big YouTube fishing channel, and that was his buddy. Joe is his buddy, and he's known as the Zark in the social media world. But anyway, they not only caught a 16, they caught another 13 and 2 12s in the same day. They had a 60-something pound best 5.
Yeah, that is just unbelievable, fantastic.
So yeah,
they could do it on too.
Yeah,
that rep too to get that done.
Oh yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I haven't had a chance to talk to them yet, but. I mean, I don't know what they figured out, but you talk about the pre-spawn and having big fish biting numbers, and to me, the pre-spawn always does kick out the biggest bags of the year. The fish are at their heaviest right before they go on the bed, and I mean, we're talking about what they just did. And this is all just stuff I'm being told by people that know them, that we both know, mutual friends. I haven't talked to them yet. I haven't seen any of the footage yet, so it could all come out. Who knows exactly how correct I'm being, but. That's going to be maybe the greatest day of bass fishing ever documented on film when that comes out.
I hope it is.
I mean,
I know there's a Bruce Brown video out of California.
Yeah.
Where he was throwing, a big cast egg swim bait on one of those trout-fed lakes out there, and was fishing out of I think a kayak or a canoe or something.
It was
because they didn't have they didn't let motors on the lake, so I don't remember exactly what the weight was. It was 60 something.
65. It was 65 pounds. Yeah, and he had like a little John boat that he only had a trolling motor on. You're right. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so that would be fantastic. I mean, my gosh, what a day.
With an old school video camera on a tripod sitting on the back deck filming everything.
The old Butch Brown video, yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, my best day ever was on Lake Fork, and it was a little over 54 pounds.
Oh, my gosh.
And that was in actually December, so cold weather too.
Yeah.
And that was the best day for big fish I've ever had on Lake Fork. And one day we had 5 over 10 in one afternoon. It's crazy.
But
not 65 pounds. That's tacking 10 on top of that. That's crazy.
I know you say 54, and I'm like, that's unbelievable. I could only in my wildest dream could I imagine getting anywhere in that neighborhood in a single day. And you say that, and then as you're saying that, I was sitting here thinking, like, well, Kelly, you might be a legend, but you didn't catch 65 pounds.
No. So, yeah, we only had right at just below an 11-pound average. So if they're at 65.
I know.
That's about a 13-pound average.
Well, yeah, it's a 16, a 13, and 2 12s, and I don't know what their fifth. I didn't get the word on what their fifth fish was, but.
Well, you get to that stage, 16 covers up another 10-pounder, a 13.4. If you take, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the kicker they needed. That's just. I love it. That's just phenomenal, and man, what I can't wait to see the video on that. My gosh, how awesome is that?
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna be stalking Ben Milliken's social media stuff every single day till that pops up, because that is gonna be what we would all consider in our world must-watch TV, no doubt. I mean, it literally is gonna be probably the best bass fishing the best documentation of catching trophy bass that's ever been created, because the Butch Brown one is 65 pounds. It is all visible. It is all cast to catch. But it's old school technology. It's not really, Butch Brown wasn't a video editor. The audio is not real good. It's more, basic stuff. Ben Milliken's rolling around with a full-time camera guy in his boat. Like, he knows what he's doing when it comes to making these videos. He's got a guy, a professional, that's doing it with him. It's going to be like a full-on TV show, but a 60-pound bag. Like, we've never seen that before.
Yeah, and that's on a lake that, everybody can go fish in their bass boat as well. And it's also, I don't want to take anything away from California fishing, but it's also not a trout-fed little preserve lake, which is what they catch those fish out of. And that's what makes California so special. Yeah. We don't have any of those here, so that's what makes that even more monumental. It's just, O.H. Ivie's a fantastic lake, and it's on the rising, I guess, part of the curve because of all the droughts. It's filled back up. The fish are coming back, and that's when you always get that big wave of brand new big fish, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
We're 7 years out of the drought now, so a lot of people are predicting this to pop somewhere. It kind of has throughout our state. We've had a lot of great fishing throughout the state, but O.H. Ivie being the top of the Colorado River chain is that's it's kind of desert. It's got a lot of stuff going for it. Limited pressure, super fertile soil, and I don't know if it has hydrilla back yet, but when it did, my gosh, unbelievable.
I believe it does have some grass in it. I think a lot of those West Texas lakes, I know Amistad, the grass has come back pretty well in Amistad from what I've been told. I think a lot of those West Texas lakes, the grass has come back, and they are experiencing.
Lumber Creek's got it. I didn't know. I don't know about it. O.H. Ivie, haven't heard, but that's probably good for the people that like to fish there a lot. Nobody's heard about it.
Not anymore.
Get a lot of company. So what do you think they caught them on?
Man, I'm gonna tell you that I know Ben has got that live scope, and I don't. If I was just a betting man, a guessing man, it had something to do with that live scope. Is the only thing I can think of, And who knows? A day there's just so much luck involved, a lot of skill, obviously, to put yourself in that position. But you know as well as I do, to catch fish like that, to get fish that big, and that many of them to bite, just a tremendous amount of fortunate circumstances. And I can't picture anything else that would target that many trophies other than that live scope, and how powerful that new technology is, where you can stare at that big fish or that group of big fish in the deeper water and just keep hitting them over and over again until you get one to bite. And I'm thinking it was probably a live scope deal, knowing Ben a little bit the way I do. I know he loves throwing big swim baits. He's a California's type of big swim bait. He loves it. He's addicted to it. He's got the big hinkles and the depths, and he's got all that stuff. So it could have been a big swim bait deal, but I think it was a combination of maybe some big baits and a live scope.
Wow, yeah, that could make them do it too as well.
Yeah.
The day that my best day when we had 54 pounds 11 ounces, we had I saw every one of them on the graph, and there's no telling what I could have done with Lasco back then. Caught them all on spoons and big swim baits. Of course, back then that was a striper sized sassy shad on a 1 ounce lead head.
Right.
That was back in 1996. I know, actually 95, so 25 years ago. But, I mean, I was just thinking it could be something like that. You know, it's still cold enough where they probably haven't made their move, so they found a school of just gorillas is what they found. I mean, just biggest fish in the lake. And those fish, you know, they hang out with the same crowd. So they found the ultimate school. You know, they could have picked them apart with all the live scope, and I'm sure they helped somewhat, but, you know, they might have caught them on a swim bait. They might have caught them on a big crankbait. They might have caught them on a jig.
Yeah.
They could have caught them on a spoon still. They could have caught them on a jerk bait. And they might have caught them on a big plastic or a jig or something like that. I'll be interested to see. But the way the conditions were, cold as, all get out. I'm sure there was still snow on the ground out there in West Texas.
There was some. Yep.
Those fish were probably locked on, and I know Ivie has a lot of standing timber in it and brush piles and what have you. Killer ledges and stuff along the Colorado River and the Concho River. I think that's the other one that comes in. Like I said, we're just guessing, but man, I like to hear how they did that. That's awesome.
We're all gonna get to find out soon enough. That's the beautiful part about, and I know there's different viewpoints on social media and the exposure that some of these better patterns or secrets or whatever you want to call it. Some lakes get exposed. There's two different sides of it, but man, when you're talking about something that special, it's something that the whole bass fishing world deserves to hear about it, and the people that do it deserve all the credit and all the accolades they can get for it. And I'm really excited to watch that video. It's going to be awesome. It's really going to be awesome. So.
Well, like I said, that's all time, and like I said, I can't wait to see. And this just, man, and to me, it's really. I fished Ivie when it first opened, and I was going to school in Abilene, Texas, and Ivie had just filled up. They'd expected it to fill up, take about 10 years to fill up, but we had a really, really wet spring, and I'm thinking that was in about 92, 91, 92, or 93. I can't remember. Sometime, probably 92. And, some friends of mine were calling me that heard about that. They were like, man, that's crazy. And I said, yeah, I remember weaving in and out of flooded mesquite trees and cutting stuff down and getting some little culverts on some ranch roads way back into some of the flats through back where nobody else was. There wasn't hardly anybody out there anywhere, but it displays so many deer and turkeys and wildlife because it just filled up overnight. I remember fishing a roadbed where me and my buddies in college, sitting on a roadbed in 3 feet of water, caught one every cast every time we threw into where the little culvert went underneath this little ranch road in the back of this drain. It took us an hour to get back there through all the timber. And we tied on everything in the tackle box to see what we couldn't catch one on. And then right about dark, a group of big tom turkeys were roosting in these giant pecan trees that were flooded, that were along this ditch that the drain was draining through this road. And I don't know what was happening for a minute. And they flapped, and they were just sitting right above us in these trees, looking down at us with these big old long beards hanging down. And we're catching bass at the same time. And that was the first day I ever fished on Lake Ivie in my life. And that was within days of when it first opened. And I guess I should have known right then it was going to be that kind of place.
Yeah. Well, you found probably the most unique cast and blast opportunity that's ever existed.
Well, if you're to the turkey hunters out there, and I know we're getting closer to turkey season. I've shot a lot of turkeys. I don't really see the mystique in turkey hunting, I guess, because I've killed so many in there. Anyway, it's just not my gig.
Yeah.
I have friends that they just love turkey hunting, and it's a great sport to them. That happened. Those big turkeys came and roosted over my head, and then and it wasn't turkey season too. And April, I believe. And I remember saying I was going to take my shotgun and go back. And I did. I went fishing again, and I didn't take my shotgun with me because I thought, man, what are the chances? Sure enough, same spot, same right at dusk, same thing. Of course, it was a roost. You don't want to blast a roost anyway, but they came and they each had their own tree. Never forget, there was like 4 big pecan trees on like a square, and these huge, I mean, probably 10 or 12. Who knows how long their beards were? Big
turkeys.
Each one had their own tree, and they flapped. Same thing, looking right down at me while I was fishing.
That's wild.
And for those guys to catch them on that lake, 65 pounds, and that's just a magical place. And it just, I mean, deer hunting and hunting ground out there has always been fantastic.
Yep.
And then they made the lake, and we all know the history of all the big bass that have been caught at Lake Ivie.
Yeah.
And then for those guys to put it all together and do that kind of fishing in one day, I'm not going to say it doesn't surprise me, but it does. But at the same time, I can't think of a lake that probably could kick them out like that any better than Lake Ivie. And man, hats off to those guys. I can't wait to see how they did that. That's just, man.
Yeah, you
dreams of fishing right there.
For sure, no doubt. And you mentioned something just briefly earlier. The whole state of Texas, man. We're 7 years out of the drought, like you said, and them boys down there in Athens been working a little extra this year because we've had five ShareLunkers from 5 different lakes come in. We've had, 2 from Rayburn, so Rayburn has 2. We've had Lake Austin, Lake Palestine, and now OH Ivie. So we've got 5 ShareLunkers, 4 different lakes. It's been an awesome year for big bass in Texas already, and I think obviously we just came out of record cold, but before that, so far we'd been a little bit warmer than normal, and certainly warmer water temps than normal in the month of January. And I think that's probably a big part of what's going on. You got a lot of fish moving up into accessible areas early in the year because of the early warm water.
Yeah, and at the same time, because of this big cool down, we're probably going to have another big wave or move depending where you are. So you're going to probably see a whole lot more. So it's like the perfect storm. A lot of stuff's coming together. A big part of it is the age of these fish because, as you know, so many of our lakes were so low for so long that they, the populations of fish, maybe they got diminished a little bit, but there, so much stuff grew up on the shorelines that were dry that you had this, when they, filled back up, it was kind of a new lake phenomenon.
Right.
Now you're 7 years out, and that's about the age that most 13-pound plus fish in the state of Texas are, that they've checked on the Parks and Wildlife forever. The average age of a Lone Star Lunker fish is like, I think it's either like 6.5 or 7.5 years old. So we're right at that time too. So that's the line of the age of the fish. So all of the fish spawned the year when the lake came up. Of course, we had a tremendous amount of spawn that survived. So that's like the apex year class of these new fish coming on. Yeah. And I think that's also what we're seeing this year, along with our weather and stuff. And we've, it's maintained. The water levels in most of our lakes have maintained. And but yeah, I thought this big pop was going to happen last year. I was a year early. Yeah. And it looks like we're off to the races. So that being said, we got 5 so far. It goes till I think the last day of April. So we have 2 more months, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could easily get I
wonder what the total will be.
I think Billy and I actually did an over-under a few podcasts back, and I think the over-under was right at 10, I believe.
Yeah, that's what we called it, was 10, and we're already halfway there, and we're not halfway through ShareLunker
season.
season.
Over, boys. Put me down for
Yeah. I think so too. We set it at 10, and I think that was a really good number at the time.
Yeah.
Because we still got March and April, which traditionally there's going to be more people fishing. There's going to be more fish on the bank, more fish moving in up shallow and accessible areas to people, to everybody that fishes. Theoretically, you should see more ShareLunkers show up in March and April than you do January, February. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, but we're already halfway there, and we haven't even got to March yet. So the 10 number's probably going down, I would say.
Well, when one boat has 2 in one day, that's a pretty good index. That's some fantastic fishing.
I'll be anxious to see if they turn both of those in or just the one.
I don't know. I haven't seen the ShareLunker page post about the second one. It's all legend right now, But we're gonna find out soon enough. Not in ShareLunker could be just waiting till They post the one, and then a day or two later they post the second one. I don't know how they're doing their thing, but maybe they didn't turn it in. Maybe you're right. I don't know, Chris. I really don't know.
Well, if they did who caught them both? Were they caught by the same animal?
Both were caught by Joe. Yeah, Joe McKay, the Zark. He caught both of them from what I've heard. All what I've heard.
If he caught them both and turned them both into Lone Star Lunker, that's another record. I don't think anybody's ever turned in 13 pluses ever to the ShareLunker program ever. So he could have the biggest fish caught in the state of Texas in a long time. I don't know how many years. You guys figured that out yet?
The last one bigger was I think the guy's name was Quisenberry. Caught 16 something on live bait at Fork, and I think that was 12 or 13 somewhere in there.
I think it was 13.
8 years, 7 years,
something like that. Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure on the accuracy of that, but and that one may not even be bigger. I just know I think it was a 16 pounder. It might not be bigger than Joe's 16 pounder. And if that's the case, then I don't know when we're talking about, Kelly, honestly.
Well, it's the first 16 pounder in 6 or 7 years, at least. I guess we figured that out. And so that's pretty special. And then to catch another 13 plus the same day if he turns it in. I mean, like I said, man, you just want to pile on records. He's going to not be able to get off the stage when they hand him awards. I mean, my gosh, that's unbelievable.
That's like deer hunting a high fence in South Texas. Like, what do you do after this?
Yeah, he needs to be a crappie guide now.
That's right. Go for the lake hooker crappie.
Hey, if he did that, he could catch the state record. The state record was caught by a crappie fisherman.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And I'll tell you, the other thing shocking about, all the big fish getting caught so far this year, there's been 5 ShareLunkers turned in, and throughout history, Lake Fork kicks out almost half of the ShareLunkers for the entire state. But we've had 5 come in this year and none from Lake Fork.
Yeah.
Just kind of odd.
Lake Fork has her, swings and whatever.
Yeah.
But I think she's just resting on her laurels right now.
She's got a lot of laurels to rest on.
That's why I'm going with the over on the 10. We're only got 5 to go. I would expect a year like this, because Fork had the same pop that everywhere else did as well.
For sure.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But if Fork usually produces at least half of the Lone Star Lunkers.
It's just a little throughout all history. It's a little under half of the total ShareLunkers that have been turned in all came from Fork.
Right, so we should expect 5 out of Lake Fork. Now, we could be wrong. Maybe it just wasn't the year.
Yeah.
I know, we've been spraying a lot of John Salvinia and whatever. Speaking of that, I think all this cold weather might have knocked that down.
Yeah.
At least I'm hoping.
Better not see a spray rig.
That would be fantastic. But, with spraying that stuff, they get the chemicals in the water. I think it just messes with the water, makes the fish a lot harder to catch.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter how big they are and how good they're doing. If they're not biting well and it's hard to catch them, it's just, they still get caught. Now, if everything stabilizes out and what have you, and we have the right windows come through, you can see it. But Lake Fork is also notorious for having those perfect days when you have all these warming trends and everything, water temperatures at the same time, moons at the same time, that, I don't know, but I think there's been days, I could be wrong. I don't have my list in front of me, but I think there's been days in the past when there's been, a couple, maybe even 3 over 13 in one day.
There was 3. Yeah, there was 3 out of Fork in one day in the 90s. Yep, sure was.
And then there would be like a 3 or 4 day period where there might be 5 or 6 or 7.
Right.
In just that perfect window. So we know that's coming because I know that I saw a picture today. The back of Lake Fork Creek was still frozen over.
Today. It is.
So probably thawed tomorrow. But man, what a great time to be fishing in the state of Texas.
No doubt. No, absolute no doubt.
It's coming too, and this is, like I said, we were 7 years out from the drought. All the other things we're talking about, the Parks and Wildlife has been stocking Florida bass every year in all these fisheries, and that keeps that genetics, up to where they have the ability to grow to that size.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the year we see a new state record or something really close. We've already seen a 16.4. Who knows? Yeah,
you start getting up there to 16, 17, man, you're getting really, really close to that 18.18 number. And, we for so long not gotten very close to that I was kind of starting to lose hope that we might see a new state record anytime in my lifetime or soon or anything. But what's going on this year is definitely bringing that possibility back into play. No doubt.
Well, and we talk about the pop from the end of the drought. So we're in that. I thought it was going to happen last year. It did not.
Yeah.
So now we're in it. That's, I think, going to last for at least 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely. I was just going to say we had it wasn't just that first year that we had great spawn and great fry recruitment. We also had that for the first few years after the drought. Yes. So we've got another 2 or 3 years worth of fish that are also about to hit that same peak over the next few years that all had high survival rates.
Yeah, and then we had some grass come back in a lot of our lakes, including Sam River.
Yes.
So we've had a lot of things that are very positive for these big fish being able to grow to their biggest potential. So, man, it's been a long time. We had all the droughts leading up to 7 years ago, and then since then we've, had post-drought, the fish weren't really old enough. The lakes came back. The fishing was really good, but still, they have to be old enough. It's like growing big deer, from South Texas. I mean, they got to be at least 5, probably 7, 8, or 9 to be really giants. So now we finally, if you want to think about it that way, our drought was a long time. We had, at least 4 or 5 years when the fishing was just, lakes were low, and fishing was, tougher because of that. And it was just, all that kind of stuff. And then you have the drought, the end of the drought. Finally, we filled back up. Fishing was good for, numbers and a lot of really good fish. But the big fish are growing because of that big pop of the great spawn that we had.
Yep.
So right now, so what I guess long story short is, you take the 7 years since the drought right now, tack 5 more years on top of that, so we're talking 12 years. It's been about a 12-year drought. At least I can make up an excuse for it while we haven't kicked out a bunch of these giants, but it's coming.
Yeah.
And I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg right now. At least I hope so.
It sure seems like it, man. And let's not forget, with all these advances that are happening in technology, every fisherman is becoming better. Every fisherman has better tools at his disposal to target specifically trophy bass. And we're becoming better as anglers, just like every sport. Football players today are bigger, faster, stronger than they were 40 years ago. Every sport evolves. We as humans evolve. We're built to try and improve and get better. And with these new tools that we have in fishing, with the 360s and the live scopes and the active targets and whatever your brand preference is, we definitely can spot trophy bass much better and specifically target them than we ever could. Even for your everyday, once every 2 week fisherman, he can do it better than he used to. And so you combine that with the fish that are swimming around in our Texas waters with the drought situation, and you're looking at kind of somewhat of a perfect storm coming together the next few years. There's going to be some fireworks.
Yes, there is. And like I said, we're just starting to see the fireworks are just starting to go off. It's kind of like, it's probably like putting popcorn in your microwave. Man, the pop's already started. It's fixing to hit it hard. That's pretty quick.
A very, very good analogy, man. Kelly, I appreciate you joining us so much, like always, brother. One of our viewers left a comment earlier. I didn't get a chance to read it to you. We were in depth talking about something, but they were talking about your classic patterns video on swim baits and spoons, and they were talking about how awesome that video was. And you've done so much for the sport and representing Lake Fork and that being your home lake, and we're so proud of you, man, and we really appreciate it. It means a lot that you take the time to talk to us, brother. We really appreciate it.
Well, always, and like I said, I'm a son of Lake Fork, and very dear to me, my heart, and love that place. Have had the opportunity to work and guide there for a long, long time, and what can I say? I feel blessed all the time. I think back, how awesome that lake is and how awesome it is to fish in this part of Texas. Well, Texas in general, of course, but and it's just like I said, I'm very fortunate, especially if you're a bass fisherman. I've had talk about living the dream. Let's go, and I appreciate every opportunity I get to talk fishing with you guys, and I really appreciate you guys getting the opportunity to talk on your podcast.
All righty, sir. Hey, man, we thank you so much, and we will catch up with you next time, brother. Y'all have good luck this season. Y'all go get after them. We'll be watching you.
Heck yeah, good luck, and man, y'all catch some of those 13.
We kind of lost him there. All right, Kel, we appreciate it, brother. We're breaking up on you, man. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye. I love Kelly Jordan.
He's awesome.
He's so easy to talk to. He's got so much experience and knowledge. Like the amount of things that he has seen and learned in bass fishing and just all that rattling around in his head. And he's so open and willing to share all of it. It's great talking to him. It really is. So, it is. What we've been talking about, that dang Ivie, this probably is going to be the Ben Milliken's channel, Milliken Fishing, is probably going to have the best documentation of catching trophy bass that we've ever seen. The Butch Brown bag might be a little bit bigger.
It might be.
But this is going to be a much better documented, edited, produced version of a 60-pound bag. That's something we've never seen before.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not trying to downplay Butch Brown.
No.
What he did by any
He's
stretch,
a pioneer, and it's unbelievable.
You know, you're watching him.
It's not that these guys are better than Butch Brown or that their day
yeah.
was necessarily better than Butch Brown. It's basically the same, really. It's very equal. But the other part of it, the getting the documentation of it, this is going to be much better.
Oh, for sure.
Much better. And Butch wouldn't even argue that. Nobody would. This is going to be a way better
Butch is he's going to come across this video and he's just going to be chuckling to himself going, good, somebody else got it too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, nobody's...
He's going to be sitting there going, Wang Chung.
There's not even a way to hate on that. Like, if you are like one of those guys that just hates it when other people succeed,
Yeah.
Like, if you're an anti-Milliken guy, because everybody that has social media, there's anti-Billy Lawson guys, there's anti-Guggen Squad guys, there's anti-Luke Duncan guys. Like, Milliken has his share of haters. There ain't nothing to hate on there.
No.
Like, you can't touch this one.
No.
16-pounder, 13-pounder, 2 12-pounders, you can't. In one day, come on.
There's a rapper that says something.
All you can do is just be like, well played.
There's a rapper somewhere that says something like "real recognizes real" or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't remember who he was.
I think real and fake gonna recognize real on this one. Ain't no denying this. No denying this. No.
So hold on. One thing about the 7 years and the drought situation, how good the fry survived or the bass.
Yeah.
Well, I think what people fail to mention also is think about all the shad. Think about the gizzard shad.
Everything's healthier. Everything's healthier. Yeah.
So
no doubt.
It's a more sustainable ecosystem as a whole.
Yep.
So
no, you're right.
We might be at the beginning of some of the wildest stuff we've ever seen in the
great run. A great run for Texas.
And what better place than the state of Texas?
Yeah, no doubt. It's going down. I mean, it's the mecca of bass fishing. It will be the best bass fishing destination on planet Earth for the foreseeable future right now. Yeah. Over anywhere else, over Florida, over California, over anywhere. So
I mean, you can literally. You can drive 2 hours each direction, and there's stories. Not a 16-pounder. I'm not downplaying that, but I'm just saying you could drive 2 hours in each direction and hit a lake that is fishing on fire.
You can hit half a dozen lakes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's so many lakes, and there's a lot of these smaller lakes that never get talked about. That some of them I never even fished. Like there's Lake Quitman outside of Lake Fort.
Yep.
When I first moved here, I had a guy I was working with in a distributor business. And he had fished a tournament up there and caught 35 pounds and got third.
Yeah.
In this little bitty, almost a neighborhood lake. It's just a little bitty lake. Not much to it. No grass. Just some docks. Not a lot of contours. Not a lot going on at Lake Whitman.
And
35 pounds got third. There's so many places in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think Whitman fishes like that right now, but it's got them in there. And at one time, it did fish that way. So
they live there.
Yeah. It's just, and almost every piece of water out here does. When I first moved to this part of East Texas. I grew up in Southeast Texas. When I first moved here, when I got out of the Marine Corps, when I first started fishing a lot around here, exploring, I used to say, man, it's like every mud puddle's full of 5-pounders.
That's right.
And it's true. Like, there's a little pond. I live in Van. Well, where the Loves, two Loves, everybody knows the Love truck stops in Van, Texas. You got the FM 314 and Highway 20 crossing. And you got those double truck stops on either side of 314 right there. Everybody drives up and down 20 between Dallas and Shreveport. It's like the midway point. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
What nobody knows is directly across the street, across the highway, from the Loves, there is a kind of open pasture, and there's a little patch of woods in that pasture. And in the middle of that, there's a pond that you can't see. And a buddy of mine that lives here in town, it's his uncle's property. And so I got to go over there and fish it. And you can literally cast from one side to the other. And Bud, I could show you some old pictures. Some old pictures that were taken on not a phone, taken on like a camera.
Yeah.
Well, we just go out there and throw a buzzbait and throw it to the other side of the pond, just reel the buzzbait right across the middle of the pond and catch donks, dude. Like, yeah, 30-pound bag, yeah, no doubt. 25, 30-pound bag, no problem. And this is like a little mud puddle pond. It's just ridiculous how fertile and awesome the fishing is around here. It's unbelievable. We've had some tournaments going on. Let's transition into tournament talk.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Skeet Reese just won an FLW Tour Major. Did you see that?
Good on Skeet.
Skeet Reese, man. It's been a while since we've seen Skeet.
Oh, Skeet's
kind of, do his thing.
That's right.
And he's one of the most fun guys to watch compete. He's got that swag, man.
They got him on a 5-second delay. Have to.
I'm just telling you, Skeet Reese probably has the most swag of any bass fisherman.
Doug, if you can roll out there rocking highlighter yellow shoes and go to whooping on them like Skeet does, come on.
I mean, he does it.
Uh-huh.
Look at the truck he rolls in. That's swag, dog. That truck is ridiculous. It looks like a cartoon truck.
That's right.
That is the stupidest truck.
That's right.
But Skeet drives it, it's like, dude, that is pimp.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
It's like, that's the most overdone, stupidest truck ever come up with. But Skeet Reese gets in here like, that's my man.
Yeah,
it's that's like the guy right there.
It's like that one buddy you had in high school that had the bright yellow truck, and you're like, man, could nobody pull that off?
No, he gets it. He's just got that swag. And so it was fun to see Skeet Reese get to the top of the leaderboard and close the deal in that FLW Tour Major. And let's talk about this. What are your thoughts on these Bass Pro Tour pros competing in the FLW Major Tours? Because if I'm a guy, for me personally, if I'm a guy that signed up for the FLW Tour Major, qualified for them, and paid my entry fees, and then all of a sudden, all these guys, Jacob Wheeler, Skeet Reese, a bunch of those guys come down and start joining us and make our field bigger, and obviously with some of the best fishermen on planet Earth, make it tougher. It doesn't bother me, because if I'm fishing at that level, I want to eventually beat the best anyway, so
like you.
I might as well compete against it. But there's got to be, because humans just we don't always agree. In case you haven't noticed in this country, people don't always agree with each other from time to time. Hello? Election results, right? Yeah. But
newsflash, that's the real thing.
We're not going into liberal tears tonight. We're not going into liberal tears tonight.
I'm like you.
Yeah, but there's some guys.
Yeah, there's got to be.
There's some guys that are like, man, this is some bull.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, there's some dudes that have paid all those entry fees to fish the FLW Tour Majors, and now they're competing against Jacob Wheeler, and they're like, this is dumb.
And I get it. I do. I get the thought process behind it, but if you're fishing at that level, then your aspirations are obviously to fish at the next level.
I'll tell you this, if you're fishing at that level, anybody that joins your field, if you're intimidated or worried or it bothers you that somebody's joining your field, you're not going to be on that level for very long anyway.
Well, you've reached the peak of your
You're not going to stay on that level for very long.
Correct.
The only guys that make it in that deal, the only guys that succeed at that level of fishing ain't scared to fish against anybody. No. And they take all comers. So I don't think it's really, in the end, it doesn't matter. There's just going to be some guys that maybe have some hurt feelings about it.
So to comment on your point, I had a friend of mine that I went to college with and played baseball with. He's from Weatherford.
Yeah.
And so, as you know, Gary Klein is from Weatherford. And so, Gary Klein used to fish
the
jackpots.
the weekly tournament.
He would fish their jackpots. And I remember saying,
you go out to fish a $40 jackpot on a Saturday morning, and Gary Klein rolls up to the boat ramp.
Dude just loves fishing. And I remember talking to him about it, and I was like, man, that's kind of some BS, huh? And he was like, no, dude, I've beat him like 6 times. I love it. And I'm like,
absolutely.
Fair point. I like it.
Yeah, and how awesome is that to say you beat Gary Klein?
I beat Gary Klein today.
Yeah.
And I know that Alton Jones Jr. fishes down in Central Texas a bunch too. So my buddy's fishing against him all the time.
Absolutely.
Me personally, I would see that as a challenge.
Yeah.
And try to rise to the best I could. But there are some people.
Big congrats to Skeet. It was awesome to see him on the main stage, on the forefront again.
That's right.
He's great.
He's a legend, dude.
Oh yeah, no doubt. The Bassmaster Elite Series has kicked off at St. John's River. We have a brand new guy named Brian New. Brand new guy named Brian New comes in and wins it. By the way, my little pick for Angler of the Year, Patrick Walters, had a pretty good start to the year.
Yeah, he top 4.
He had a pretty good start to the year. By the way, if you missed last week's podcast, I'm really sorry. I accidentally deleted it after the live stream while it was processing.
I noticed that.
And so it's gone. And we had a great interview with Patrick Walters the night after the St. Johns River wrapped up, and then I deleted it. So
I guess we just got to get him on next week now.
yeah, we got to get him on again. That's right. We sure do. But Patrick Walters had a great event, and I've picked him for Angler of the Year. That's my Angler of the Year pick this year. But Brian New, man,
his first Elite Series event,
wins it, and the tournament was great. The tournament was good. St. Johns River is not as good as it used to be. They've been spraying it a lot. We can sit here and go around, and we've had that discussion on this channel plenty of times. We know where that goes. The quality of the fishing was good enough, though. It was good enough, and there were some good quality fish caught, and Brian New caught their butts on that last day to win.
It was a good tournament.
It's always good to see a guy, a lot of times, in fact, I would argue that probably most of the time, on Sunday, the guy's kind of holding on. It's not very often you see Sunday be the best day of the tournament for somebody that wins.
So what? We've seen Patrick Walters do it. We've seen Brian New do it, and maybe a couple more in the past.
And Patrick Walters, that wasn't the best day of the event. His best day was day 2 at the Lake Fork event that he won. What I'm saying is, over a 4-day event, the winner usually, by the time day 4, it's just nobody has.
Right.
Not very many people in 4-day events have their best day on their last day. Because they start burning through fish over 4 days. You start depleting your fish, and so. To see Brian New go out there, it's really cool when you see somebody go out there and just stroke them.
Oh, yeah.
And he had a way better day on day 4 than he'd had the whole tournament. And it was awesome to see a big bag caught. It was awesome to see that. The fishing was great. The best part of that tournament was the weigh-in. Normally it's not, because nowadays we know who's won before they get to the weigh-in.
Correct.
The best part of that whole event was when Brian New won. Did you see how excited he was?
Yeah.
And it was really cool to watch. He was so excited, and he was holding the trophy up and doing all that. And when his wife and daughter came on stage,
there's no substitute for somebody.
His whole world stopped. He put the trophy down and ran to her.
Yeah.
It was that moment, those moments, those human moments of, a guy has, no matter what sport. I think it's why we love sports in general.
Yeah.
No matter what sport it is, that human moment of when a guy has sacrificed everything, and his family has sacrificed with him, and they've been apart from each other, and the level of obsessive work that's gone into that to get to the very top of the highest mountain in your industry, and you see that moment culminate right there on that stage in front of everybody.
You watch it.
Those are the real human moments that I think that's the best part of watching the sport.
It's a physical viewing of dreams coming true.
It is. It's
there's
in real time.
No
live.
substitute.
Live.
No substitute. Like me, I got news for you. If y'all ever saw my dreams come true live, bro.
I don't think we got the proper rating.
It looked like a Picasso painting.
I don't think we got the proper rating on the channel.
Yeah, oh, dude. They'd have to put me on a 10-second delay.
We definitely can't do it live.
We can't do it live.
No.
10-second delay. Clean warrior effect.
We're going to need a lot of beeps, a lot of blurs, and we're probably going to go TVMA. I'm just saying. Minimum.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, you let me off easy.
Somebody might go to jail over this. We don't know.
No animals were harmed in the making of this video. Yeah.
Oh, that escalated quickly. It'd be great. It'd be great.
That would be awesome.
Tremendous. What else? Tournament world. We got the Bassmaster Elite Series on the Tennessee River is about to happen, and we've had drastic cold, but. And that's coming up this weekend at the end of this week. Or it starts Thursday. But like Kelly was talking about for the Red Crest, we're going to have some warm weather come into play this week. And I'm hoping that's going to help them on the Tennessee River because, it's could have potential to be a real grinder of a tournament. But you get a good warm trend, get those fish up there and get them active, and it could be a good, fun pre-spawn event like the others we were talking about.
I hope it ends up being a really good event because...
Can I just be real honest with you real quick?
I'm very upset that it had to get moved because
the Red Crest?
Yeah.
No, it sucks that it had to get moved. There's no doubt about that.
I hope they have a really good event in place of because I know what Palestine was fixing to do.
Yeah. It does suck but the one thing that is important I feel like to remember is that it did have to get moved. The Red Crest
absolutely
had to be moved. They could not do that tournament here. Those guys would have been traveling 4 days ago for practice. Yeah, you couldn't.
No.
I wouldn't tow my boat from here to the highway 3 days ago around here.
I believe I made a phone call to you last Wednesday, and that was the first day that I stepped foot outside of my house, outside of my immediate backyard, and I believe I was actually walking to the gas station to see if they had power.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even I got a big four-wheel drive truck.
So there was no way that we could have had a
no
bass fishing derby anywhere around here. They did have to move it. I've seen some negative, which you see negative comments on everything these days, but I've seen not a lot, but I've seen some frustration from fans or whatever that they moved this event again because they did move it from Grand to here because of COVID restrictions.
Right.
Then they moved it from here to Eufaula, Alabama. This was not. What did you want them to do?
Yeah, there was no.
They couldn't. Their guys couldn't get here.
No.
I mean, the roads weren't really good and drivable until yesterday.
And not only that, they didn't know that the electricity and water, like any of the utilities, were even going to be able to be used.
Yeah, for all the facilities around.
Because I don't know what the villages look like right now.
Yeah,
I don't have a clue. I don't know if they have power or water to all their hotels and all that good stuff.
They might not.
Because one side of 155 is still struggling real bad. Like, still no power, no electricity. Yeah. So, I don't know.
They had to move it. I mean, they had to move it.
Yeah,
there wasn't
no
a
choice.
There wasn't a choice. So, the ones that are complaining about that, you guys are just wanting to complain about something because there's nothing wrong with them moving this event in this circumstance.
Well, and a lot of the comments that I was seeing, too, they were saying, man, this is bull.
They're basically trying to make it out like they screwed over the city of Tyler somehow. And it's like, that's between them and the city of Tyler. None of us know what did or didn't get paid. B, if they did pay them something, I'm certain that MLF is going to reimburse the payment.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they stole money. Like, people are just crazy with the allegations. I've had crazy allegations thrown out about me. Anybody that's in public at all, you're going to have some crazy stuff get said. But, people make it out like MLF is like stealing their money.
Well, I saw one guy say too, man, they moved this because they don't want everybody to see him struggle on camera, on the live stream, blah, blah, blah.
It has nothing to do with it.
This had zero to do with fishing.
Nothing to do with
zero.
And they wouldn't have struggled.
Yeah, by the way, this is about to be the best week of the year on Lake Palestine.
February in Palestine with 60-degree days and sunshine, they're going to catch them.
Yeah, it would have gone down in a big way.
Like Kelly said earlier, it just took a 30-pound bag to win an individual media tournament there.
Yeah. And the conditions weren't even that good leading up to that one.
No, they weren't good at all.
And I'm not taking nothing away from Danny, but that's not the best in the world doing it. You know what I'm saying?
No. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Like, that's incredible.
Yeah. What Danny did was awesome. Danny Ramsey caught the 13-pounder. I mean, that's, it's a 29-pound bag, and there's a 13-pounder in it.
Correct. Yeah,
that's half the bag, bro.
Yeah.
I think it actually was a 26-pound bag. I can't remember. It's like half the bag is one fish. So, if you don't get that one big bite, then your day's totally different.
Right. Exactly. It's crazy, man. I just it sucks I had to move it, but man, the fact that they were willing to put it on the schedule in the first place tells me that they will be back.
I hope they will. I think they will. I think so, and I hope so. I certainly hope so. Palestine does deserve. I hope they hit up Lake of the Pines one day too.
Ooh, yeah.
Those are two lakes around here that don't get near the run that they deserve.
Speaking of
Palestine and Lake of the Pines are both tremendous fisheries that just kind of get not locally. They
get looked over.
Not locally. All of us are very aware of the quality of fishing that goes on at Palestine ponds. But if you're not from Texas, you might not have ever heard of Palestine or ponds.
Yeah, somebody that's not from Texas, that's coming to Texas.
They might not even know those exist.
Texas, they're going to Lake Fork. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they might be like, oh, there's a pond over here, blah, blah, blah.
They don't even know Palestine ponds exist, some of them. I guarantee you. They don't. And it'll be good to get those lakes on a primetime stage like that. Yeah, it would be good to have those on there. And what's funny is, I mentioned the Bassmaster Elite Series event on the Tennessee River coming up at the end of the week, and we just kind of blew right by it.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, out of all the professional level events that are on the schedule this year, sometimes the smallmouth events up north lose a little luster for me. It's at the end of the year. It's at the end of summer. I've been fishing a lot. I usually take time off the water in August, so some of those events can seem to lose a little bit of their luster. But outside of that, this is by far the least interesting event on any schedule to me. Like, it's not that great of a fishery. I mean, it's a good fishery, but it's not the St. Johns River. It's not Gunnersville. It's not Rayburn. It's not Lake Champlain. It's not Mille Lacs. It's just not an all-time fishery. it's not. There's been a lot of tournament history there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great tournament region. Like, dude, I'd rather see them go to some other lake in that area versus, I'd rather see them on Hartwell, honestly, than where they're going. I know they can't go to the same place every year. I get it, but they're going to the Tennessee River, which is not the greatest fishery. Not a bad one. It's a good one.
Yeah.
And then they're going there in February. Like, if you're going to fish a mediocre fishery, you might want to hit it at its peak.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get there in April when all the fish are on beds or something. I don't know. It's just, that's kind of my outlook on it. It's the least exciting event. And it just kind of struck me as ironic that I went to talk about that, and then the conversation just went right back off of it. Because neither one of us are really, like, that interested.
I'll tell you the next event that I'm interested in watching is the Sabine River.
That's not happening until July now.
I know. Oh, that's right. They rescheduled it.
They did reschedule.
Yep.
Now, the Rayburn Bass Pro Tour event,
Yeah,
I'm excited about watching that one. And I'm going to be fishing there on the 13th in the tournament, so I'm even more. That helps pique my interest. But I'm excited about the Rayburn BPT event. That's going to be, and that will be, I believe that'll be their first event of the year now. Well, Red Crest.
Right.
That'll be their first regular season. The 2021 event will be the Rayburn event, and then right after that we got Fork, and then we got Lake Travis on Bass Pro Tour. We got Fork on Elite Series Texas Fest, and Lake Travis on Bass Pro Tour. And then we've got Ray Roberts in June, early June. So
Yeah, I don't know how much. See, I grew up in Central Texas.
yeah,
I don't know how much information or how much research you've done on Lake Travis, but
not a lot.
in the past,
I just know the tournament results kind of from the past few years.
in like years and years ago, like before I was able to go fishing and all that good stuff,
Yeah.
that Joker used to have some giants.
Yeah, he used to have a little bit of grass, and now it doesn't really have the grass. But
They put them.
Well,
big
they still-
they didn't even spray those. They put those big mats down, kind of like they did Lake Austin.
they still, they still kick out a lot of big fish out there.
Yeah, there's still big fish.
We
there.
had a Texas Fest there several years back, and it was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yep, I'm just glad they're starting to come down into our neck of the woods.
Yeah, if you want to see Lake Travis be showcased, go check out Justin Royal's YouTube page.
Yes.
Because he fishes it a lot. He lives in Austin. He fishes it a lot. And, yeah, they catch some dang good fish out of there.
Oh yeah. They like them big swim baits.
Great scenery, too.
Oh yeah.
That's a bit.
Yeah.
Wasn't what I was thinking.
That's not what I'm talking about either, Billy. Bring it back.
Listen, you're not wrong. You ain't right, but you ain't wrong.
Yes, I know what you're
But
talking
it is a
about.
beautiful lake, hill
Yes.
country lake.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I was getting at. But the other part's right, too.
Yeah, a lot of big rocky, kind of like bluffs, really.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. River Channel Bluffs.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, real pretty. Do we want to get on some questions real quick?
Sure. Oh, did you bring the questions from last time?
I sure did right there. Bang!
Okay.
Yeah, because as y'all well know, those of y'all that caught the podcast live last week before it got deleted, I couldn't make it from A to B.
No, we couldn't get here. It was too much ice.
It was bad. So, subscriber number, and by the way, if y'all send in a question, you get a cool little subscriber number.
Yeah, we assign you a subscriber number.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's never the same twice either. So subscriber number 61254 wants to know the manufacturer of the blue chatterbait trailer you use.
It's actually black and blue. It just has a lot of blue flake in the bottom half, which is primarily what you see on the camera. That's a Lake Fork Tackle Live Magic Shad. You can get them on Tackle Warehouse. You can order them from lft.com.
10-4.
But yeah, Lake Fork Tackle Live Magic Shad.
All right, and subscriber number 11230, what size chatterbait in 2-3 foot of water?
3/8 ounce, about 99% of the time.
Okay. Subscriber number 22245, striker bibs preference, and do they have a removable inner liner?
So the striker bibs that I wear is the Adrenaline suit. It's called the Adrenaline suit, and it's one of their lighter models. Striker is a company from the north. They're really popular among ice fishermen, and they have some bigger suits that do have liners. They have other suits that have liners. They have suits that are suited for sub-zero temps. They have bigger suits that actually will float. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you fall in the water with that suit on, you'll float. You won't sink.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool. And then, but the one that I'll wear is called the Adrenaline suit, and it runs about 600 retail for both top and bottom combined. And I can tell you, I had it on Toledo Bend during practice, and it was 40 degrees outside, and it was raining, son, for about an hour on me. and I never got a drop of water inside my suit, even like in the sleeve.
Yeah.
Like my arms on my sleeves on my hoodie underneath it, no water whatsoever.
That's awesome.
Unbelievably good suit.
All right, and subscriber 99212, a Daiwa 80 series reel for light baits, or do you have a better preference?
Man, the best light bait throwing reel that I know of is a Lew's Hypermag. A Lew's Hypermag, those like weightless plastics, really little yellow magic poppers, little quarter ounce ones. It throws that light stuff better than anything else I've ever thrown. Is that Lew's Hypermag. Now, Lew's Hypermag is a expensive reel. It's about $300 reel, but it's the best at throwing light baits.
So I have a Lew's Tournament MB. Yep, and it throws light baits pretty well too.
It will. I have both. Yeah. It will to get in there. Listen, the Daiwa 80 series is probably fine, but the Daiwa CC80 is actually a really good cheap reel. It's like $60.
Yeah,
and it's really good, but it's not as good as that $300 Hypermag. Right. It's just not. But I mean, that's the difference. We're talking about a $300 reel versus a $60 reel. Tournament MB, you're talking about a $150 reel versus a $300 reel.
Correct.
And Tournament MB will do the job, but
right,
the Hypermag will do it better.
Yeah,
and it's lighter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I'm going to ask you if you have a better preference, you can only go with what you know.
That's the best one. I mean, it just depends on how much the dollars matter to you and what
right.
you're willing to pay. That Hypermag is a high dollar reel, but it's unbelievably good. So
yeah, I remember when you first got on with Lew's, and I think you and I were standing in the driveway, and I was playing around with them one day, just flipping, and I was like, man, I'm gonna go get me a couple of them. So I ended up buying 2.
Yeah.
And now every single one of my reels is Lew's, except for I have one Daiwa for cranking, and it's a Tatula. It's only because of the big spool. But yeah,
Texas Air Gunner. Texas Air Gunner says he got a Daiwa CC80 and it casts better than a Revo rocket. I mean, it's a really good.
Yeah,
really
but the Revo rocket's going to be more. That's a. You can burn a crankbait with that or flip, in my opinion.
Warming trend with warm rains on a grass lake. What are you doing? It won't even matter. You will catch their butts. You could do just about anything you wanted to. Me personally, I'm probably going chatterbait, swimbait, trap. I'm definitely winding for sure. Like I'm going to be winding. It might be a spinnerbait. It might be a little crankbait. It might be a lipless crankbait. It might be a chatterbait. A lot of different things that I might want. Might throw a swimbait. A big swimbait would be a great thing to throw in a warming trim with grass.
I'm putting the power poles down, fishing, and then moving 30 yards, putting the power poles down, fishing.
The bottom line is warming trend with a real hard warming trend with warm rain on a grass lake.
Yeah.
You're fixing to stroke their butts.
Yes.
Yep. No doubt. You're going to catch them as good as that lake can have them caught.
So a good buddy of mine, he actually he's fished Ivie a couple times in the recent past, and bro, he said that he has caught more 5 to 8 pounders out of that lake than any other lake in the state of Texas.
That lake is about to get throttled.
Yeah.
It's too late now.
Too late.
That would have been some good information for you to tell us a week ago.
Well, sorry. Sorry. Little did I know I was late to the party.
Too late now.
But they go down there for 3 or 4 days every year. Yeah. And he sends me pictures, and every single day they go out, they catch a handful of 5s and a couple, 7, 8 pounds. So, man, sounds like we needed to plan a trip about a month ago, Billy.
Yeah. I mean, a week ago would have been good.
Yeah.
Just before Friday.
Yeah.
Because it all came to an end Friday.
I am like...
I mean, it'll still fish good, for a long time.
Oh, for sure.
It'll just be so crowded.
Dude, I'm sitting here like tap dancing in my head, waiting for this video to drop.
I know.
Like I want to.
The Milliken video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm with you.
And I think that Fork got something for him this year, and we ain't even.
I'm gonna tell you that day right there.
I don't think you can.
It's probably the greatest documentation of trophy bass fishing we'll ever see.
Yeah, for sure.
Or that we ever have seen so far.
I'm just talking about ShareLunker quality fish.
Yeah, Ivie is going to have the shine on it this year because this is all time stuff, man. This is historical stuff. Congrats, by the way, to Zarek.
Yes, congrats, Joe. That's awesome, man.
And I guess to Ben in a lot of ways, that's a big win for him. I know. And Ben, I don't know which fish he caught or didn't catch. I think Zarek caught the 2 biggest ones. I don't know if Ben caught any of the 12 pounders. If he did, it's certainly a new personal best. By a lot, because I know what his personal best is because he caught it with me.
Yeah.
And it was like 8 pounds, 10 ounces. And that's been 3 years ago now. Over about 3.5 years ago now. 3 years and a couple months maybe. that he caught that 8-pound 10-ouncer on fork with me, and so if he caught a 12, that's a huge leap in personal best right there. Huge leap. It's an all-time thing, man. This is bass fishing history is being documented.
I can't wait to watch it.
So
can't wait to watch it.
Absolutely, man. I think we go ahead and wrap this thing up. What do you think?
Dude, we've been
going
going
for
for
a
a
while.
long time.
We've been going for a while. One more big thank you to Kelly Jordan for joining us,
Yes.
discussing the Red Crest. And then, of course, I know Kelly didn't mind getting to talk about that fishing day that we've been talking about most of the night because, well, no need to say what I just said again. It's history. It's bass fishing history, so it's awesome to get to dissect that and get Kelly's viewpoints on it and think about it. So we really appreciate you, Kelly, for joining us.
Yes.
We appreciate all you guys watching, as always. And leave your questions. If you're watching this after live, leave your questions. It might get answered on next week's podcast. And, yeah. What else?
Man, that's about it.
That's about it. Hey, Chris, do that thing you do.
Y'all send some water to my house, please. I need
Y'all
it.
got any more than a bottle of water?
Yeah, I need some water. I need a shower for work in the morning.